What up?
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 31st issue of Why Am I Nervous? And Wud Up Comics, where each and every week we get together to talk all things comics. From old to new fan theories of what ifs, we've got you covered. I'm Cameron James, joining me, as always, the Golden Voice podcast, Matt Ferreira. And Electric Hearts Comics' own, our first comic artist, writer, Kyle Killeen, is joining us today. What's up?
How you doing, man? Thanks. Great to be here.
Super excited to have you. We got into a little bit of a pre-show chat, so we found out you're actually super local. You're local now. You were living out in Washington?
Living out in Seattle. Since 2013, but once the pandemic hit and the cities were getting kind of scary for a little while there, so it just felt better to be home with family, and now I'm back in the glorious suburbs of New Jersey.
So when love it, Monmouth County, baby.
So when did you come back? You came back recently?
I came back in May.
Oh, damn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So would you drive over?
Yeah, we drove. My wife and I drove back, and some of the country people were wearing masks and already being prepared. And some places they were like, "What pandemic?
Really?
We don't notice anything. It's fine in Utah."
Yeah, I can imagine some of those rural areas are a little, yeah.
Oh yeah. You're the weirdo if you have the mask on, and they're just kind of like.
So what were you doing out in Seattle then?
Well, I was bartending on a yacht out on
all right,
Lake Washington.
We need to talk about this like right now.
The summers were beautiful. Summers were beautiful, but man, when you have to tie up a boat in the winter in the rain and winds, it's kind of brutal.
Yeah.
How big was this yacht?
I think we had 4 in the company's fleet. There were 4 different ones. The biggest one was 175 feet.
Wow.
That seems pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
Were they private?
Well, it was a private company, and we would do like a public brunch cruises and things like that. But
like
primarily they were rented out for private businesses. Like Google was one of our main clients. And they had their meetings on our boats and stuff.
That's pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, it really is.
I know that Seattle has really good coffee. so they say.
It does have really good coffee.
What's their beer scene like? Because Sean, one of the other showrunners here on the Why Am I Nervous podcast, is like big into craft beers. So I always know, like, whenever we go out, he's always like trying new craft beer. What's it like out there in Seattle? Or do you not drink?
I do. I'm enjoying a cane head high right now.
Oh, very nice.
Bro, everyone's on this. Everyone's on this same thing.
Very tasty beer. It's a powerful beer, so take it slow. Seattle has so many microbreweries and micro distilleries that it's almost like every neighborhood you're going to kind of stumble upon one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I got to make it out there. I haven't done too much in the Pacific Northwest. I think the furthest north I've been out west is San Francisco. So not quite the same vibe, but still a fun place to be.
Yeah, San Francisco rules. 2 of the artists on Scarf, the newspaper that I sent over your guys' way, are from the Bay Area.
Very nice.
So we'll talk about that news. I have questions about that too. We'll actually we're doing a whole interview with you later, so get ready because we're gonna shoot mad questions. We're gonna shoot questions at you, and I did not put that on your outline, so you don't know what the hell we're gonna ask you.
I'm nervous actually a little bit.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry. So did you go to any sporting events too while you're out in Seattle, or was that really not your thing?
We did. Yeah, we went to a few, but my wife and I started to feel a bit cursed because every team we went to root for lost.
That's like me.
Every time we went to see the Seahawks, they lost. And the year that they won the Super Bowl, every game that we went to, they lost.
Oh, geez. You should start going to Ohio State games. I would consider that a personal favor.
Learning a little bit about this Ohio State thing.
I fucking hate Ohio State. But that's...
Yeah, you fucking threw away my Christmas gift and fed it to the wolves.
I think you were asking for that one, but...
It doesn't matter because we'll make sure we invite you the day that he has to run around Pure Village in a fucking Buckeyes uniform.
God.
That's going to be
I'm going to hate that day so much. Yeah, he real bad.
Yeah, I
got absolutely crushed. My fantasy team was garbage this year.
Do you play fantasy?
I don't. No.
Best thing you can do is not play that.
I might retire now. This is the worst season I've ever had in my entire life. Like this might be the end.
I know lots of people who do, and dedicate some serious time to it. But I don't know enough. I'm not that deep of a fan, I guess.
You're too busy making beautiful comic books. I've got to say, I know we're not up to it yet, but the artwork on this thing is insane, man.
Hey, thank you.
I concur.
It's definitely a laborious task. It's comics. I think people think it's an easier thing to make than it really is.
Yeah, like theoretically, for those of us who, my highest form of art is probably a stick figure. I think it's tough to really comprehend, like just the act of pulling images out of your mind and applying them to paper and getting it to look right is insanely difficult. So I definitely applaud you for that.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you. Sometimes it's hard to talk about because you work on it so much and you're almost terrified to even put it out there. But you have
no fucking way, bro. I even said to Matt, I said, I'll be honest. I said, and I'm a very straight shooter. Like I don't bullshit anybody. Like when I had first looked at the artwork that you have on your Instagram compared to what you sent us is light years. I personally think, and that's not an insult, away of what's on your Instagram. Like I literally said to Matt can quote me. I was like, bro, the artwork in this shit is fucking dope.
Yeah,
it is like
it's really good.
I was blown away by it. I was like, this is not like I've never seen this, and I've never met someone that can do that in my entire life. And I was like, this is fucking sick.
The scene out in Seattle kind of definitely changed my perception of what could be done and what other people were doing. I had tried to apply to some of the bigger, the big two, Marvel and DC, and even Dark Horse, and you never hear anything back from those guys.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's tough to apply, and then you almost never hear anything. But out there's like this thriving scene, and everybody's kind of pushing everybody to do more comics, and everybody's just self-publishing because they're like, screw Marvel and DC, we don't need them, we'll just do our own thing.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to get into the DC talk because those guys just keep getting weirder and fucking weirder, and I just cannot. I cannot understand what the fuck they're doing, but we'll get into that in a second. So, but once again, this is Why Am I Nerd since Wud Up Comics. You can follow us on Instagram, Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd, and listen to new issues every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast service. Looking for some video game talk? Listen every Monday to Why Am I Nerd's flagship video game podcast, Alpha Beta Gold, where Justin, Jason, Just Matt, and myself talk about none other than video games. If you're looking for a video game news podcast, however, definitely not for you. But if you're looking for no honest bullshit opinion on the video game world, that's a show. Last but not least, don't forget to tune in every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever day we put it out, to 4th and 1, where Matt, Sean, and Anthony talk all things sports. Whether you're a diehard New York Giants fan, want some fantasy football update, or just looking for some news around the sports world, those guys got you covered. And I'll say it again, fuck you, jocks. You're a fucking nerd. But once again, like I said before, let's just dive right into this stuff. Courtesy, as always, hot off the press of Planet Bugle. Matt, I sent you guys this before. Kyle, you have as well. This new Frontier thing from DC Comics blows my mind because, as everyone knows, we've been following this whole rumored DC shutdown, and then they go and announce this, which completely makes no logical sense to any other topic that's going on. So, Matt, do your thing.
So, from ScreenRant.com, DC Comics announces new era, Infinite Frontier. Everything old is new again in DC Comics' upcoming Infinite Frontier, which will set the stage for a new era for the DC comic universe. It's too much. We say this all the time. Like, I'm looking at the picture right now, on ScreenRant.com, and it's just there's literally 3 different versions of Superman on here. There's 2 Wonder Womans. There's 2 Batmen. There's like 3 Robins, 2 Flashes. Like it's too much. Like, honestly, I don't really know what they're thinking with this. Like DC constantly reeks to me of not having a direction or a clear path. And Marvel for a while was the same way. They seem to be doing better now. Marvel now, with some of what I'm seeing, I'm a lot happier with. But DC is just kind of like, whatever, we're just going to reboot everything again. It's been like 3.5 years. Why not?
So Kyle, have you been following this?
I have, yeah. One of my jobs out in Seattle was also working at a comic book store for a little bit, and
that's awesome.
Sometimes I would just watch the blank stares at people when I would try to explain the New 52, or the next reboot, and they were just like, "So where does this comic I want to read fit in?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like I almost can't even tell you sometimes.
Yeah, it's like it might not.
I feel like it's got to be putting off old fans and confusing new fans.
100%.
For sure. For sure. It's a mess. Like, it's one thing if you want to update the costumes, but like every week, it's almost like they'll change a character completely. You know what I mean? Like, it's like not even, just because I'm looking at her in this picture right now, like now there's a Black Wonder Woman, which is all well and good, but that's super confusing in terms of continuity. Like, if you're used to reading, one arc about a character you love, and then they're like, boom, this character doesn't matter anymore. Totally new character that you have to follow and learn about. I'm like, that's not what I came here for, though. So
there's supposed to be a third Wonder Woman.
Is there? So there's going to be what?
I think
Diana,
there's 3.
Donna, I think was the other one, and now the new one.
There's supposed to be I don't know if she's supposed to be like Filipino or like Hispanic, but I think there's a third.
That's too much again. Like, honestly, at least give them different identities. They can't all be Wonder Woman, like it's just make it a little bit clearer that these are different people. Like, it even drives me nuts with Spider-Man and Miles Morales that they're technically both Spider-Man. Like, it's a little frustrating. Like, you can come up with something different.
You want different names completely?
Like, I just think it makes it easier for like, okay, like this is a character I want to read about. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone who had that split personality. Now, of course, I'm blanking entirely. But like, I just think that makes it easier for continuity purposes. Like, if you go to a store and you're like, I want to read a Spider-Man book, and they're like, oh, here's all the Miles Morales stuff. It's a lot easier just to be like, if he's a arachnid, I don't know. But it's easier to go that way, and exactly which path you're on. It's just easier to follow stuff. It makes it more streamlined, more user accessible. Because if, to Cameron's point, if you're new to comics right now, you have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. And even like Kyle said, like you said before, bro, it's like, how do you explain someone the New 52 to Rebirth, and then like Suicide Squad, which came out in Rebirth, stopped at issue 50, redid itself, and started at 1 again during the Rebirth era. And it's like, how do you know where? I forget who did the new stuff, but it just gets too convoluted. And again, the constant rumors of, hey, this shit's getting shut down, it's going to get sold, AT&T's going to sell it, yada yada yada. Oh, side note, here's this new frontier. Like, you just you canceled Aquaman, you canceled something else apparently, and then they're doing who the fuck's the Flash? Wally West? Am I saying that right? Who's the Flash guy?
Wally West. There's Wally West and Barry Allen.
So Wally West, I think they're like writing him out of this entire universe, is what I read too. So it's just like, I mean, and Kyle, you would know best because you're obviously way more involved in the comic industry than we are. But like, when does a comic book company say, we need like a super hard reset? Like, let's scratch every side thing and just focus on the main shit.
I mean, if you look at X-Men, they just kind of do it whenever they want, like sometimes Marvel just changes a title or adds a new adjective to the beginning, and they kind of ignore, depending on who's writing, they might ignore completely what happened in the last year's worth of storytelling.
Which drives me totally insane. I'm like, how are you guys not having meetings discussing everything that's happening? Like, okay, I'm doing this in my book, and like, I want to have Daredevil come and be like, okay, I'm using Daredevil for this story. Let's make sure the timelines match up, and it makes sense for him to be in your story and then my story at the same time. Like, I just feel like there's very simple conversations that should be had because they've got to know what these arcs are. You know what I mean? It takes a full year to get through 12 issues. Like, you mean tell me there's not enough time to have a conversation with someone about the best way to set things up so you can read things normally and make it seem like a more, like, I don't know, actual universe that people can be in different places. Drives me nuts.
You guys could text, right?
Yeah.
And I guess
what's Daredevil doing right now?
Like, let's say, just have like just a blurb, like, this is what's going on for Daredevil. This is what Galactus is doing right now. Like, just something just so where each character is at. So if they're borrowed for something, just storyboard it.
Because I guess the big question too is, what's the point of adding another Superman? What's the point of adding another, Batman? Now, are they doing these things because of like what's the word? I guess like a influence type. Is that the right word I'm looking for? Like an influential thing. Like, okay, now you're doing a Hispanic Wonder Woman, you're doing a black Batman, a Hispanic Superman, or whatever they're doing. Like, are they just doing this from like a cultural standpoint, or are they actually doing?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying, or is it like an actual reasoning behind it? Because honestly, it just seems like a cop out to me. It just seems like some bullshit that someone's like, hey, we need to figure out a game plan, and these are our top sellers, but we obviously need to do something to get more people involved culturally. So let's just do this.
They're definitely trying to push that narrative a little bit. I think that things are a lot more PC than they used to be, which doesn't have to be a bad thing. But I said this in one of our earlier issues, and technically earlier tonight, just make it, if you're going to make a new character, make a new character. Don't put somebody new in somebody else's identity. Like, it drives me nuts even with, I know Cam hates this, so I'm already going to get the vitriol from him in a second. But the Avengers game, I loved playing as Kamala Khan. I just wish her character name was different than Miss Marvel, because I think Miss Marvel, I think Carol Danvers. And I'm just like, there's no reason to not create a totally new character. Like, you don't need to piggyback off somebody else's old name, because that's just honestly, it's misleading. You don't need to do that.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you think?
I think it diminishes the character a little bit too. It kind of sets a mold that they've got to be in, and you know, at some point she's got to join a team as the you know, the Guardian of the Galaxy almost, or the cosmic character now, or something like that. And I don't know. I think Kamala Khan is better than a Miss Marvel or a kind of a Carol Danvers reboot.
I agree.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that too. Although I think Miss Marvel has like the coolest powers ever, though. I do love that idea. She can just absorb energy and then redistribute it. That's like sweet.
But well, it's kind of like Gambit
or Bishop.
No, it's very much like Bishop.
Yeah, similar to Bishop. Yeah.
But Gambit not similar. We can have a whole talk about Gambit. Like, I can make him a shenanigans engine right now, because Gambit's bullshit.
Gambit's the man, bro.
Wow.
Gambit. All right, you know what? I'm sorry. Early shenanigans engine then. Gambit and his goddamn bullshit. Are you kidding me? I feel like I said this before. It had to have been one already. Like, a strong breeze could literally stop Gambit from being effective in a fight. Like you're gonna throw a playing card. Oh, what are you gonna do now, mon ami? Like, what are you like? Get the fuck out of here! Like, he throws playing. Like, throw a knife. Throw something that has some weight.
That would be cool.
Kidding me? Yeah.
It's not a card though. It's like an energy blast.
It's a card. It's energy blast. If he just shot energy at people, that would be cooler. But he's just got
that wouldn't be cool.
Cards.
I think it would be way cooler in the scope of being a thief and a Thieves Guild member and that kind of thing. Maybe it was like 2012. Marvel had a thing going on where Gambit had his own series, and it got to like 12 or 14 issues, and it just disappeared. But I mean, it was kind of cool, you know. It was like a Mission Impossible Gambit story, and I don't think
that's pretty cool. I can rock with that.
There's card throwing involved, and he didn't say "Mon ami." They dropped that completely.
Smart.
It's like the main thing I remember from the cartoon in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing. That's the thing that you were saying with when it comes out, like, especially if you look at it as a X-Men standpoint, like Gambit doesn't have his own book. You know, if he does, it was in and out in fucking a second. You know, so. You know, when you have DC with all these new characters, because then you look at it, okay, so now you have this new Batman. Are you now introducing new villains, or is he just somehow integrated into
fighting? Two-Face and Joker.
Yeah, you know, and that's you're building on something that's already a failing product that doesn't need to be, you know, added to. It needs to be readdressed, and that's just where I don't understand what's happening. Where the miscommunication is coming from. You know, I think it's obviously they're probably, you know, losing their shit that all their movies now are just coming on HBO Max day of, unless they have some sort of, you know, contract when they're getting like a huge cut of the membership, unless they're not telling you that when Wonder Woman's on HBO Max on day one, you click it, it's like, hey, you can rent it for $5. It's, you know, they haven't really said anything about that yet. So
they didn't. I mean, my understanding is it's going to be free, but I don't get how they make money off that. I really don't. It doesn't make any kind of sense to me.
There's no way they can, unless, like I said, unless they're banking on the memberships from the DC Universe app, which I canceled. So sorry, DC. I guess no,
don't be sorry. Don't apologize to them. They were assholes the way they set that up. Like, yeah, hey, come to this app. We got everything. Yeah, it's like, I'm not shocked they're losing money. Exactly right. Like, I'm not shocked just by the way they're handling things. There's no goal. Like, there's no set plan, which, like, I say this damn near every week. Marvel very much seems to have a plan. More so with their hold on. More so with their image properties than their actual comic books, though they are kind of coming into their own. I like how they built up to the current storyline with Null. However, they're not always great with the comic book stuff. The last 10 or so years have been very iffy in my book. But for their entertainment platforms and movie releases, they very clearly have a plan. They're working towards something. And DC is just throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks.
I'm challenging that.
Okay.
I don't think they have a plan now. I think they had a plan up to Infinity War and up to Endgame, but now I think they're kind of like, uh-oh.
You're talking about the multiverse stuff? Because that's one of the next things hot off the press. No, I actually think they very much do have a plan. I think that they knew this was going to happen for a while, and they're generating hype for, the upcoming films. They're going to try and break their own records. But the more I think about it, I think Feige knew what he was doing, because WandaVision, Spider-Man, and the next Doctor Strange are going to set up a mini arc, and that's going to be their whole multiversal thing. See a lot of other things happen, and that enables them to bring in new characters like the X-Men or the Fantastic Four potentially from a different universe.
And Namor.
I said this actually last week. As upset as I am that Chadwick Boseman, passed away, because he's an incredible actor, very gifted, did great things with Black Panther. I was really looking forward to a Namor versus Black Panther movie, and to have that ongoing rivalry play out through the rest of the movies in the Marvel universe, the way it did for I forget the name, the storyline that led into Secret Wars. The third Secret Wars. I was really, excited to see that kind of played out live action, but unfortunately now we won't get that opportunity.
I mean, I think you still will. I mean,
it's going to be with Shuri though, and that's
I don't think it is, man.
I think they said that nobody else is going to play T'Challa in the Marvel. Yeah.
I'm calling bluff on that. I called bluff on that last year.
The cultural significance, though. Like they can't.
There's no way. They did it with Heath Ledger and the Joker. I mean, and they did a terrible job with it.
But like, in fairness, like going back to the PC thing, that wasn't like a pivotal role for like African American cinema. Like, that was a big deal, even though it technically wasn't accurate. Because like, it's the first black superhero. It's like not totally, but whatever. The fact that so many people like love that movie and revere that film, it's almost a slap in the face to have somebody else play him. And like, Heath Ledger didn't really get recast. They could have brought him in for Dark Knight Rises, and they didn't.
Yeah, but they didn't because they rewrote the script. But
because they had to, out of like respect for losing him, which I think it would be the same as for Marvel. If they totally reboot the universe, then yes, we could see a different actor play him.
Are you kidding me? Look at this fucking Spider-Man movie. It just keeps getting crazier.
That's one way to do it, but I still think it's kind of a slap in the face. But yes, it is. They are getting a little nuts with this. So we'll move on to the next topic, since you're pushing for it here. Comicbookmovie.com brought us this one. Spider-Man 3 speculation mounts that Jake Gyllenhaal will return as Mysterio in the threequel. So, yeah, apparently this comes because his stand-in from the last movie was spotted on the Spider-Man 3 set, possibly indicating that the actor is set to return as Quentin Beck / Mysterio in the threequel. It's interesting.
It's not. It goes back to what I literally said 3 minutes ago. Like this, like I think they're clueless. I don't think they have a fucking idea. I think Mark Morris said today what's December 22nd at 8:10, or 21st 8:10.
I was gonna say
they're gonna
in the future. You said this? Are you in the multiverse?
I said I am in the multiverse. This multiverse thing is gonna be the most confusing hot mess of a fucking French pressed coffee that you'll ever fucking see in your life. I'm calling it right now. I think they had a game plan up to Endgame, and I think right now, like, what's the next big event in the Marvel after Infinity Gauntlet? Right? It was what? Was it Secret War? I'm not a big Marvel guy. You guys know better than me. I'm assuming it was Secret War.
After it's tough to go with, like, because they kind of pull stuff from different areas. Like Infinity War and Endgame, technically nothing like that really happened in the comics. Similar things happened, but not quite the way it played out that we saw it in the films.
No, but so, the big event was based off the Infinity Gauntlet. It was based off the
first part was the first arc. You could say the first few phases of the Marvel universe were based off the Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos pursuing his goals to kill everyone.
Right.
Or
so
everyone.
The next one would be, I guess, Secret War.
maybe. But even so, that would make sense because that's an extra dimensional thing. I don't think that'll be how they do it, though. I think we're more than likely going to see like Dormammu or someone as the next big threat.
I thought Galactus is the Eater of Worlds, right?
Yeah.
I thought they teased him.
When?
Maybe that was just on the at Comic-Con. They showed like a picture of like it said like Marvel Universe, then it was like a picture of him like coming down on.
Really?
I don't unless it was like a fan art. I'm not too sure, but you know, I mean, Kyle, what's your insight on the Marvel Universe? How much are you?
Matt's onto something with Dormammu or possibly some of the like the Hell Forces Mephisto because of the direction that Doctor Strange 2 is going to go.
Really?
I think that's going to be a big thing.
And if they are bringing the X-Men in and they're bringing the Fantastic Four in, I would love to see like a Goblin Queen invasion of New York and just have New York completely become Demon Town.
Did they?
But as far as a long-term plan, I really don't know. You know,
did they confirm the X-Men are officially coming into that universe? Because
I mean, I don't think it's super official yet, but the Fantastic Four just got announced. We know the X-Men are going to come. It's just a matter of when and how they're going to do it. I think they are also partially waiting for that. What was it? New Mutants that like everyone was really hyped for, and then they just keep pushing the date back. And the more that comes out, everyone's like, it's going to suck. Did it come out?
I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's on Amazon or something.
Yeah, it's out.
That's a sign right there. Yeah, I think they're waiting for kind of all that the dust to settle from that and Dark Phoenix before they bring them back out, just because so that people don't associate them with the really shitty movies that just came out back to back.
Well, they also weren't referencing them as mutants in the movies, weren't they? Referencing them as
Inhumans because they can't say. Well, they can. Yeah, they couldn't say mutant for a while.
Which, okay, I don't understand that. How does somebody copyright the phrase mutant?
Same as Droid. Droid's technically owned by George Lucas.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do they say in the Star Wars shit?
Droid. They say it's a droid. It's not a robot. It's a droid.
That's fucking wild.
Imagine that guy, George Lucas, man, so smart. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but the fact that he kept all the rights to Star Wars for so long and just made billions by selling it to Disney, like directly in his pocket. And just how do you just come up with the phrase droid and you're like, no, this is the thing. And everyone just uses it. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. He made a lot. He's obviously making a shit ton of money on it. But you know, but going back to the Marvel stuff, I think that they will recast the Black Panther sooner than later. I think it'll be recasted in the next like 3 years, if you want my honest opinion.
It's wild.
It's just a matter of who do you pick? Like, do you pick someone that has similar resemblance to Chadwick Boseman, or do you just fucking say fuck it, let's just go from square one?
I think you got to go from square one, to be honest. You can't, if you're gonna do it, shoot for the stars. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna get the best actor you possibly can.
Well, there was rumors I thought I had heard for a while of Michael B. Jordan doing it.
Yeah, that would have been a terrible. People are so fucking dumb. All right, so here's my thing. Exactly. And like Michael B. Jordan's a great actor, but when that first came out, I do stand by. I don't think he's actually dead in the end of Black Panther. The fact that T'Challa goes directly over his body right after, I contend with that. I don't think he's really dead, but a lot of people were saying like, oh, his armor looks just like Vegeta's, and like the Black Panther armor that Killmonger wore. They're like, it looks like Vegeta's outfit. I'm like, okay, kind of. But like then everyone's like, he should play Vegeta in the movie. I'm like, no. Like just no. Like do not force this in. Just because one thing happened and someone's popular from it doesn't mean they need to be in everything. It's got to be the right role for the right person. I don't want to see. Even though he's a big anime fan, I don't want to see Michael B. Jordan as Vegeta. It doesn't fit. Like no, let's not do that.
So
that's where I'm at.
So your theory again, and I know we talked about this and we did the Hero Cinema episode. You think why is he not dead?
So when he gets stabbed in the chest. And then, T'Challa brings up Killmonger to like watch the sunset. And he's like, oh, my dad always said this was the most beautiful place ever. And T'Challa says like, we can heal you. And he's like, no, just so when I can rot in prison, he's like, throw me in the sea. but then he like kind of passes out or whatever. And T'Challa immediately moves on top of him, and you can kind of see him place his hands on his chest. And if you remember earlier in the film, when the one guy gets shot, the guy from The Hobbit gets shot, they take one of the little Kimoyo beads off of his chain, put that in his back, and that keeps him alive. So
white dude?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They do shove the bead in him.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's the same thing. He puts his hand right over him. Like, if whether it was intentional or not, that is a way to bring him back. He should not be Black Panther by any means. It doesn't fit his character at all. But they could easily say he's still alive.
My question to you two was, if that happened and he just like shows up as Black Panther, like, and they keep it like super down low and like they don't talk about it, and he just shows in the movie, what's your initial reaction to it?
Anger. Yeah, sorry if I jumped on you there, Kyle, but I'm like, no, I'd be pissed. Yeah,
it would just seem like a farce. I mean, it would just be too much comparing of the two to really enjoy the new product. You know, it'd be like, I don't know.
Honestly, you know what it'd be like, to make the sports reference here real quick. It's like, people constantly compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan. You're talking about having someone come in, and even if they're the actual best actor in the world, the fact that they're following someone who had such a revered performance, people are automatically going to hate it. So even if it was the best performance ever, there's always going to be like half the fans that are like, no one's better than, as T'Challa than Chadwick Boseman ever was. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there no matter what. Yeah,
I guess that's kind of the argument right now that people have with the Joker. Like, again, Kyle, you saw the Joker movie or no?
I have the Joaquin Phoenix one.
Yeah.
I have not seen that one.
I haven't either, actually. I still need to watch that.
It's just like, it's like such a different view on that character that it's almost not like, it shouldn't have been called the Joker. Like, it should have just been something else. It doesn't really make any much sense to the rest of the story. Even the timeline like doesn't fit anything in the DC comics, and the DC movies. Don't even get me started on that timeline, because none of that shit makes sense. The ages are fucking all over the place, and I said that last week. I think it's complete utter bullshit. But like, for me, it's like, now that the Spider-Man, going back to the Spider-Man topic here for a sec, they just keep adding more and more and more.
They are going a little over the top. They are. I agree. They're adding a lot. I'm still going to say I think they have a plan, though. I think they know what they're doing. I don't think these are going to be major characters throughout the whole film. I think it's going to be like quick run-ins here and there. Even with Multiverse of Madness, I don't think that's going to be the whole draw. Like, it's going to be like a little like, oh, look, there's Tom Cruise's Iron Man. Like, it'll be a quick thing. I don't think it's going to be a major part of the film. Because, again, that would be kind of a slap in the face to Robert Downey Jr. to have him in there for too long. That's more of a tongue-in-cheek nod to the fans that, hey, this almost happened.
I mean, they're definitely not going to, am I saying this right? They're definitely not going to not recast Iron Man either.
I don't think Iron Man's coming back for a very long time. I think we're more likely to see his daughter as Iron Man than we are to see him as Iron Man again.
I mean, you could argue that with Wolverine too, and for a fact that they're not going to keep that character.
Well, that's different, because that's a different universe. They're bringing him into the MCU now, so they have an opening to do that.
Okay. But remember, the three of us here follow comic books and follow this shit. The average Joe Schmo that watches this movie is going to see Wolverine show up and be like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why is he here? He's dead.
Yeah,
like,
but get it. So many people.
I'm not calling these people stupid, but I am calling you illiterate to comic book knowledge that you're not going to fucking understand it.
I am going to say, though, I think a lot more people now do follow that and do stay up on it, because it's been such a cultural phenomenon. Like, it's cool to be a nerd now. All the shit that we look at, if this was 10 years ago, a little bit more even, before Iron Man came out, we would have been, we've all been through it, where people are like, oh, you read that stuff? Like, what are you, a kid? Like, no, fuck off. It just made like $1 billion at the movies last week. Like, eat dicks. Now I'm awesome.
But no, I mean, I think that they're going to have to figure out something to do with the main characters. I mean, especially so pretty much you could argue that the three main characters are currently four that are non-existent right now are going to be Wolverine, Iron Man, Captain America, and who am I missing? Wolverine, Iron Man, Captain America. Who the fuck were we just talking about? Wolverine, Iron
Man, Captain America. Were you gonna say Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Okay. Black Panther's going to get replaced by Shuri, though. They were setting that up. It was very ham-fisted. All right. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on a thing here right now. Did both of you watch, Cam, I know you didn't really watch it. Kyle, did you watch Mandalorian?
I've only seen the first season.
Okay. Well, you know how at the end of Endgame, there's that one scene where it's all the female characters are inexplicably together, teaming up the most powerful character to back up the most powerful character in the universe in Captain Marvel. And they're like, oh, we're all working together. It's like super female. It's like, it was a nice idea, but it was too ham-fisted. But it was also a sign, I think, of what's coming for the Marvel universe. They're gonna eventually do an all-female Avengers. They're building up to it because now we've got She-Hulk's got her own thing coming out. Black Panther's gonna be a female, which I think was their intention initially. I don't have an issue with it if it's not forced. The way they did it in Endgame, I didn't like. But I was gonna say on the flip side, there was a recent scene in the most episode of The Mandalorian that's not getting lauded because there's a major, very big spoiler that happened at the end of the episode, but there was a number of female characters that teamed up, and like it wasn't ham-fisted. You're just like, damn, this is a badass scene. And then it wasn't until the second time I watched it, I was like, oh wait, all those characters were female. You know, where if it's not forced, it just comes across so much better,
organic, and made sense for the actual narrative of that story at the time or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess the bottom line question to me is, you end with Endgame, right? That ends the first, I guess that would be phase 1 through 3, right? Now
we're at the start of phase 4. I think the last Spider-Man was technically the start of phase 4.
Okay, so the start of phase 4 entailed Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
Right? And now you're going immediately into another Spider-Man movie. Is the next?
No, Black Widow is technically phase 3, I guess.
But she can't be. She's not even in the same. She's not in this. She's not in the timeline.
It takes place in the past,
right? So it wouldn't really necessarily fit into this timeline. So
that's what I'm saying. It's technically phase 3.
Not phase 4. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant 4. So technically, the next movie in the 4th is another Spider-Man movie. Which
is it? There's not another one coming out before that.
I don't think so. I thought
that the current with phase 4, but.
I'm not too familiar either, but I know my argument has always been that the Multiverse of Madness should be before this Spider-Man movie if they're using all this, because Kyle, you saw Far From Home, right?
Shang-Chi is the next one coming out. Shang-Chi comes out in July.
The 10
yeah, and the 10 rings, which is interesting. I hope that's the Mandarin.
So
and
apparently,
then following Shang-Chi, we've got Eternals, and then we've got Spider-Man.
So apparently,
Eternals.
Apparently, the Shang-Chi thing is supposed to be very similar to Mortal Kombat.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Is how they're gonna do it, because they are remaking Mortal Kombat, which apparently comes out March of next year, which is probably going to be fucking bonkers. Because how are you going to put all, if you don't have good fatalities in that, fuck that. But
that is going to be the whole thing. It's like ripping someone's spine and be like, damn.
No, but I mean, I guess like my thing is like the Multiverse of Madness, because what I was saying before to Kyle is you saw Far From Home,
right?
The ending of that movie, literally. Did you see John Wick?
Yeah, I haven't seen 3, but I saw 1 and 2.
Okay, you know how 1 and 2 literally go into the next movie?
Yes.
3 does the exact same thing. Literally, he's like walking in 3, and like the first scene is him still walking. And I feel like the way that they ended Far From Home was literally, you could have just started the next movie from that scene without question. And now that they're adding in all this like other dimension, other universe, multiverse, this, multiverse, that, it's like you had the story. The story was simply Spider-Man was on the run. He needs a fucking lawyer to clear his name, and maybe some other villain shows up to cause havoc, and then he's like, "Well, I can't do anything until we figure out this fucking game plan." Instead, they're like, "Oh, let's just throw assuming Doctor Strange is just gonna show up in this and start being like, oh, we can send you back in time," which would just be dumb because what's the point of his fucking movie? It's just, I don't know. It just gets too fucking confusing to me. And I don't know. I guess only time can tell. But that's not.
Sometimes they do that. I wish that they would focus a little bit more and streamline things and not try to just pack in as many character appearances as possible.
I mean, I'm 50-50 on that because I agree on not jam packing it, but part of the fun of a shared universe is having all these characters show up in each other's movies. And I was disappointed with Iron Man 3 for a multitude of reasons, but the foremost being that they had already formed the Avengers. So when his house gets blown up, the fact that nobody showed up, Captain America wasn't there, like, where's Tony, picking up rocks and stuff, trying to dig the house out, was really disappointing because that's an opportunity lost because they realistically would have showed up for that.
But that goes back
it depends on the situation, though. It depends on what's going on, but also, like, have a fucking meeting. Like I said, like, decide where each character is and what the timeline is, and then you kind of know where to go with things.
And that's what I was gonna say. It depends who's talking. Maybe they're not talking about it because that Iron Man 3 movie, that whole freaking Mandarin was a fucking cop out in itself.
And it was. At first, I was like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming, and I like getting surprised by movies. But then when I rewatched it, I was like, damn, they really wasted Ben Kingsley. Is that his name? Who's a great actor. Yeah, and then, like, they just wasted him on this fucking joke. Like,
throwaway,
yeah, and it looked like he was going to be really cool. He's one of the few Marvel characters that's a villain to not die immediately. So, I was kind of intrigued. I was excited for it.
They'll bring him back.
They did technically after Luke Cage. He shows up in something
on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it might be that. Or no, he's in the same prison Luke Cage was in.
Was it Iron Fist?
I thought he was in Iron Fist.
He might have been in Iron Fist. He showed up in something.
They had two seasons of Iron Fist, right?
Iron Fist was a tragedy. Like, there's no other way I can describe that movie.
That's a serious bummer.
Dude, I will never get over in that show is the last episode. Was there 2 seasons of Iron Fist or 1?
I think there's 2.
So the last fight scene in season 1, I'll never forget when he's coming through. He's crashes through the fucking window in the skyscraper. He has the fist lit up. Dude, the fucking look of that shot, and I'm talking this in a film standpoint, looked so fucking bad. Like, he was like frozen. Like, it looked like something like a 90s action flick. I was like, what is this? Like, he's frozen with a stupid pose.
They fucked up.
And look, first of all, I didn't like the casting of it. I didn't like the actor. I thought the actor was fucking terrible. And I think they only picked him because he had a high from
Game of Thrones.
From Game of Thrones. Otherwise,
I don't even know if I'd call it a high. His character wasn't that important in Game of Thrones, all things considered.
Dude, they didn't even get the costume right in that movie. He didn't even wear the costume.
He never wore the costume. He never wore and there was no excuse for that because, like, he has good versions of his costume.
Yeah, so, like, versions that could work. I mean, just get a fight choreographer. Like, it looks so corny.
Well, apparently they only had like 3 weeks to like prep or something for that, so that's why a lot of it came off really shitty. But I'm like, push it back. Like, I don't understand why that's not a thing. Like, you know what I mean? You've got to know you're going to lose money. Like, and Iron Fist is such a niche audience that you need to nail it. Like, the whole reason that Defenders universe failed outside of Daredevil was because they either killed off the best character, which was the case for both Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, or there wasn't enough to draw from for Iron Fist. And I'm sorry, Cam, but also kind of for Punisher, where like they just didn't. Hold on. Hear me out, though. They didn't commit. If they committed to doing what Punisher does, which is just straight up fucking murdering people, then that show works. But he was like trying to have a job, and then like he befriended some woman and he was trying to help her and her kid. And honestly, there was like 4 episodes where like he didn't really kill anybody and it was fucking boring. Like, the guy that you saw in Daredevil wasn't the guy you got in the Punisher series. And that's a failure to commit to the character in my book.
They also didn't do Jigsaw any justice.
Oh my God, that was so bad. I thought the way they created Jigsaw was awesome. Kyle, did you watch any of these shows? I'm railroading here, so sorry.
Oh yes. Oh no, I did watch them. And Punisher growing up, Punisher, Daredevil, all of the New York superheroes from Marvel I loved all of that stuff. So I was really excited to see how they were going to do it. And yeah, it was just so weak. So it seemed like they're going to deliver, and then they pull back, getting as extreme as what the character deserves. Like,
yes,
I mean, if the Punisher isn't killing somebody or planning on killing a bunch of criminals or something, like, that's not the Punisher.
Yeah, exactly.
Eternal world, he's just rage and revenge. That's it.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and the befriending of that woman too is kind of weird because you kind of made it seem like they were gonna fuck, but he was like trying to help the one guy, and I guess.
And then the one chick from sorry, I was gonna say the one chick from Daredevil's in it too, and I'm like, what's happening with them?
Oh, the blonde chick.
Yeah.
Punisher doesn't fuck. He just
he does. I guess
he does. No, that's not true at all. He fucks lots of people. He fucks everyone with bullets. What are you talking about?
Wow.
He's penetrated so many people.
That's so fucked up. That's all right. Fair enough on that one. But no, I think that the big thing too with the Netflix stuff that was and again, what'd you say?
I need a drink after that.
Yeah.
Punisher making love to the criminal underworld.
Yes, he does. But that's true, though. If Punisher got laid, he probably wouldn't be so angry. It does actually make perfect sense that he wouldn't fuck at all. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I see they kind of pulled the friending thing a little bit from the Welcome Back Frank storyline. Like kind of like, he does when he becomes friends with the people in the apartment complex.
Mean the Thomas Jane Punisher movie? That's actually amazing and for some reason gets critically panned.
Yeah.
That movie's so good. I'm like, why does everyone hate it?
That movie sucked because of John Travolta, and I said it.
Yeah, okay. Yes. John Travolta's easily the weakest part of that film.
If you took like any other character in his thing, like you made a villain for that movie that didn't need a villain to be made for.
Yeah. They literally just ran with Jigsaw.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't remember who the villain is in Welcome Back. It's back.
It's one of the crime families, like head like moms of the.
Oh, it is. You're right. It is a woman, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. I forget her name though.
So they could have done that, but they didn't. You made John Travolta's character who ends up, and that was like just the whole thing was bad. And even in the beginning when I understand giving him an origin story, especially with something like that his movie hadn't been made since like Dolph Lundgren's in like the fucking 80s.
Oh my god, I always forget about that.
I respect the Dolph Lundgren version, guys.
Do you? I haven't seen it. True story. I have not seen it.
I actually haven't watched that in a very long time.
It's ridiculous. I mean, he goes up against the Italian mafia, against the triads, against some ninja clans. I mean, it's all over the place.
But
we might have to add that.
It probably makes sense to the story because he's the fucking Punisher and that's just what happens.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, but like the thing with the Punisher movie, which kind of got me. So you give him this origin if he's like an FBI agent working for the cops and like then he retires and his family gets lit up and then he just goes like ape shit. Like, fine. Okay. Your family dies, but you didn't need the whole like, because think about the Punisher Born Again storyline. He's just like fucking nuts and he's talking. Yeah. You guys both read that, right?
He's basically like the devil he's talking to in his head. Like, And
the ending of that book was a complete shocker to me because, spoilers, anyone that hasn't read it, when he's talking like the devil or whatever it is and his wife and kids are there and he's like, all right, fine. Like they can live. I'm like, that's not what
wasn't it like they can live for now? Like I thought it was kind of implied that they were going to be the sacrifice he had to make because like he submits to whatever the voice in his head is so he can survive the onslaught where everyone else in his unit got killed. His entire base gets overrun. So he gives in to that voice inside because he wants to survive. And it's like, you're going to pay for it later. And then he gets off the plane and he sees his family. And I thought it was implied, it's been a while since I read it, that was what he was sacrificing.
Yeah,
that's what I got from it.
Is it?
He sees his family, and the next day they're going to that picnic in the park, and
that would be. They should just ran that storyline too. Like, but again, I mean, I have concerns. I said this on last week's show. I have concerns about Daredevil getting pulled to Disney Plus simply because of the tonality. Maybe I made that word up. Like
tonality. No, I get what you're saying, and I think it's a valid concern, but I think Disney's smarter than that. They've got to know that if they've got something successful that people literally fought to bring back from the dead, that they can't fuck it up and water it down. I think it's going to be the same with Deadpool, and they'll just have to find like almost like a max rating thing to do on Disney Plus. Like maybe you'll have to input your age to be able to watch some of these shows.
Yeah, because think about it. They did the Deadpool one, and then they made that Deadpool version where he like tells
like
a Christmas story.
Yeah,
they tell the Christmas story to freaking Ralph Macchio, I think it is, right?
I actually might need to watch that because it is,
But it's the same. But apparently, it's the same movie, just PG-13. And if you look at like the reviews on it, it's terrible. I'm like, how it's the same fucking movie, just PG-13.
Yeah.
Well, you took out all the sex and violence that everybody wants. I mean,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I was literally, you just took the words right out of my mouth. Like, did the sex and the violence in that movie really make that much of a difference? I mean, I guess, yeah, like Deadpool is not a character that you can make PG-13. And
well, I've said this before, you can. You just need to make it because because Deadpool is self-aware. You can do it and have him be in like a Spider-Man movie and he'll go to curse, but something else will come out and he'll be like, why is this happening? Like, why am I in another PG-13 movie? Because he breaks the fourth wall and Spider-Man just writes it off as him being out of his mind.
Yeah, every time he somebody away, it's like, why my gun jams or my bullet just turned into a marshmallow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
He's got like a rubber band gun. Yeah.
You write comics for a living or something like that?
I tried.
But no, I also think real fast, touching base on this, I rated R and PG-13 shit. I think that they kind of fucked themselves too with Logan because it was rated R, it was good as fuck, and now I don't think you can make that character a PG-13 character either.
I've got thoughts on Logan, and this has been my thing for a while, is that we've never really gotten a true Wolverine. We've gotten close a couple times because the first 3 X-Men movies don't count as far as I'm concerned. Days of Future Past, same kind of thing. Like he's in it, but it's not really him. A little bit in Apocalypse. We got a glimpse of him actually massacring the Weapon X facility, but it's still not true Wolverine. It's not blood. We're not seeing people get completely destroyed. In Logan and in the Wolverine a little bit, we kind of get glimpses of to what Wolverine could be as a character, where he's massacring groups of people and just constantly getting back up, terrifying to fight against. But in both times, he's nerfed. He doesn't have his healing factor the full time. Like, I just want a true to form classic Wolverine story. Give me Enemy of the State, where he can still heal and he's going against incredible odds, but like he's getting fucked up and he's fucking people up at the same time. Like, we haven't truly gotten that at any point with Wolverine, except for that one scene towards the end of Logan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it becomes, again, it comes back to Disney now. Like, are they going to pull the plug and make a rated R movie? And are they going to do it?
If they're smart, they've got to just do since they own Fox, I would almost say like release that stuff under Fox so people don't get it confused as being straight up Disney. These characters can tie into everything else, but Wolverine's got to actually kill people. Like, he's got knives coming out of his hands. Like, he's not tickling, people to death with those. Like, he's got to slice somebody up.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's where they kind of dug themselves in the corner because that movie was so fucking good. And then, then you kind of have the Inception twist at the end where the rock falls and it's like, oh, he's coming out of the fucking grave. Like, you don't know, like maybe, I mean, you don't know. It just kind of ends. They walk away. I don't think you can just jump to Weapon X. I don't think X23 she goes by.
X23. Yeah. I agree. You can't do that either. Although, like I said, they're going to do the all female thing at some point. So I wouldn't be shocked to see an adult version of her show up.
Yeah. But I don't think they've, like you said before,
that actress now, actually,
she's probably like fucking 18. Relax.
No. Ew, no, I'm just saying, like, could she play an older version of the same character is what I'm wondering. Like, if they did decide they were going to do it, like if they're going to bring X23 to life as an adult, like, is she old enough to even play that? Because I feel like you can't give that role to somebody else.
Well, I think what they need to do first is I think they need to establish the tone of the X-Men.
Sorry, I looked up. She was born literally the year I graduated high school. And I was like, okay, so she's like 10. I'm like, no, she's 15. Oh, God, fuck my life. Like I said, a little mini existential crisis.
No, but
she could essentially play an older version of the character. I think as a teenager, like, that would work.
But I think they need to set the tone for Disney needs to figure out what tone they're going to do with the X-Men. Are they going to do like the Days of Future Past tone where it was kind of like, it was a little more lighthearted, it was a little more not
I don't know if I'd call it lighthearted.
The world was coming to an end, but
and like the X-Men get massacred. Like Iceman dies like 4 times in that movie. Colossus literally gets ripped in half.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did I say Days of Future Past?
Did you mean First Class?
I meant First Class.
Oh, first
okay.
Class.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, that did not happen in Days of Future Past. It only happened in First Class.
When X23 took over the Wolverine mantle in the comics, it kind of had a First Class feel because there were a bunch of different clone versions of her. So there were different ages. There was a younger one, and some of them were more violent. Some of them were, they were all different personalities and things, and it could almost have a comedic, softer side. But yeah, I mean, if there's not claws ripping through people, it loses the Wolverine angle for me.
So we're all here to see.
What was her group? She wasn't an X-Force, was she?
I think it was X-Force is like the super violent X-Men branch, like that.
Works doing all the Black Ops, just taking people out.
Yeah, the wet work team. I think they call it.
That's when Wolverine has the gray and black suit.
Yeah. That Rick Remender run. It was really good. Good stuff.
Apparently there is a weird. I read it online the other day that there's like some weird love thing between X-23 and Wolverine and one of them, or I don't know. It seems a little odd. Yeah, apparently it was weird. I
mean, they're fucking up in general. We talked about that last week. The fucking love triangle with Cyclops and Wolverine and Jean. Like they took it too far.
Well, the one Wolverine story, not even storyline, because they never even touched base on it. Like character that I would like to see them do is more Ronin stuff. I really like. I like the samurai stuff just in general. Like I like old Western movies. And I like samurai, like Ghost of Tsushima was like my game of the year this year, hands down. So I think it would be cool to see them kind of tackle that version of him. Now, that could go into, I know we're running over. No one's anywhere to go, right? Because we're a little late today.
No, it's all good.
Cool. So it kind of goes into the next thing of this. You have this Marvel What If cartoon coming out on Disney Plus, which is cool and not cool because it's pretty much just like, so DC has that Tales from the Multiverse, which is pretty much they just take the main story arc and they rewrite it. The Flash one is really fucking good. And I told you that last week, Matt. You should check that out. Kyle, if you haven't read it, just rip through it real fast. It's easy. But you could do the Ronin storyline in this What If universe or whatever they're doing. I don't even know what they're doing because there's just so many What If storylines that they've done. I just picked up one of the volumes today that has like a couple stories in it, and one of the stories in it is the Punisher Spider-Man thingamajigger. It's like in like a trade paperback, and there's like What If magic or whatever the hell it is. But how would they be able to incorporate, I guess, like a Ronin version of Wolverine into this universe would probably be from this TV show. With, again, I'm assuming it's just going to be little stories being told here and there.
Yeah, which I mean, honestly, I'm all in for that. I think that's a really cool idea. For something that you wanted to see that you're like, oh, they're not going to make a movie out of this. I think it's an interesting way to go. Which I still need to buy that Spider-Man Wolverine crossover.
So have you read any of the one? Has anybody read any of the What If stuff yet? Because I actually haven't.
I read one, and I'm sorry, Kyle, am I cutting you off here? Did you read one?
Not at all. I mean, I read them back in the day, but so they were like when Captain America becomes president and that kind of thing.
It's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, because they have here the 13 greatest What If stories that Marvel did, and I just want to rip through them real fast, and maybe we can touch base on them. So you had What If Hulk had the brain of Bruce Banner, which kind of makes no sense to me because isn't that Professor Hulk?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So that one's kind of relevant. They had a What If the Fantastic Four had different superpowers? They had What If someone else became the Amazing Spider-Man? What if Wolverine had killed the Hulk, which he technically does in Old Man Logan now? What if the Avengers had become pawns of Korvac? What if Captain America was revived in today's age? What if Uncle Ben did not die? What if the Fantastic Four's second child had lived? I didn't know there was a first one. What if
no, they have. Wait, what second child?
When Sue Richards, the Invisible, was pregnant for a second time, she sadly suffered a miscarriage. In this comic book, we get two versions of what would have happened otherwise. The first tale is a horror story told by Sue's son, Franklin Richard. Here, Sue dies in childbirth, and her grieving husband, Reed, names their daughter Susan in her honor. As the years go by, Franklin Richard realizes that the younger sister, Susie, is a being who drains the life out of others in order to survive. Try as he might, he can't convince his father to do this, so he turns to no other than Dr. Doom for help.
Dr. Doom. Yeah, that makes sense.
They had the What If the Punisher was... an Agent of Shield, and then they had like what if Magneto ruled all the mutants, and then what if magic, which I don't know what that even means. Kyle, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying Magneto. I love Magneto. You know. That Magneto was Zorn, and that whole thing happened.
Yo, that was I forgot about that. That was
that still is not settled with me, you know.
Okay, that's one of the few good things. That's a Grant Morrison story, right?
Yeah.
I hate Grant Morrison, but that was well done. I actually might need to give that a
for DC, but his X-Men stuff was excellent.
Yeah, his DC stuff is all over the fucking place, especially. He did a Serious House in Serious Arkham.
A Serious House and
Serious Laughs.
Yeah.
And that book is really difficult to read because you can't fucking physically read it. You can't understand the inking of it. Like the wording is terrible. But anyway, like touching base on this what if, like, what do you guys expect to see out of this?
I'm hoping to see. Well, should I look at the full list, or do you just want me to say what I hope we actually?
No, like what do you guys hope to see? Because I mean, the list here of how many stories that they could possibly do is like fucking.
Oh yeah, there's insane.
Yeah, they can go really far with this. I mean, honestly, I'm hoping just to see different takes on things we're used to, like, you know, just cool storylines that are kind of out there that could have been movies that they're not going to do now. I mean, I'm vaguely interested in seeing T'Challa as Star-Lord. I personally don't care. Yeah, that's some of the upcoming stories they have. I personally don't care for Peggy Carter that much, so I'm a little annoyed that they keep trying to hammer her in as a character. Like, they keep trying to force her to be a thing, and I'm just not about it.
Peggy Carter has a big fan base, I think, and they're fighting for it.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from though. Like, I don't know, what has she done? It's kind of my thing, I guess.
Well, around the time of Agents of Shield, and I think I don't know if it was just like a web series or something, but they had a bunch of Peggy Carter stuff. But it was never anything big, and then they never really made any comics.
Yeah, it was just she was kind of there.
And I think this is a good opportunity for Marvel just to tell, like you said, just some rebranding of some stories. I mean, again, they have freaking 9 and more, you know, volumes going on this What If, which I didn't even realize that this came out in 1977. I thought this was something new. So this is a shocker to me that there was so many, different. Yeah, like I literally thought that it was just like because the Marvel, the DC multiverse, Tales from the Multiverse, there's only like 10 of them. I think there's 10 of them now. Maybe there might be a little more, but this is, you know, just like going through the list. I just pulled it up from Wikipedia. Like some of the stories are just like absolutely, you know, insane. Like what if Uncle Ben lived and Aunt May died? Like. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I think it was at a time when they were running out of ideas, maybe, or something.
Yeah,
because there was definitely some one of the ones that I remember, and I remember because it was a particularly steamy issue. But Sue Richards marries Namor, and then it has this whole New York merging with Atlantis thing, and Reed
interesting,
like a dejected. He almost becomes like borderline villain and.
Yeah, that's number 21.
Yeah, she becomes like the queen of Atlantis, and you know,
Submariner, right? Yeah. That was his original name, I guess. Yeah,
Submariner.
Yeah, the article is the issue is what if Invisible Girl of Fantastic Four had married Submariner. Submariner, yeah.
He was the first Marvel hero, I think.
He was. Yeah, we talked about this.
Marvel what?
He was the first like Marvel hero character.
Oh yeah.
Which is a weird way to kind of start when you think about it, because he's probably like the most. I don't know much about him, but I know Kyle. When you had mentioned before, you kind of glowed up a little bit. I guess you're a fan.
I am a fan. Yeah,
you honestly would like him a lot too, Cam. Sorry, Kyle. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead. He reminds me a lot of Black Adam almost. If I was to compare him to a character.
Yeah, fully agree with that.
He comes from a foreign land. He thinks Earth and everything that isn't from his land is basically garbage. And he's speaks down to everybody around him, but he's also, you know, got the power to shift.
He's strong as fuck. Yeah, it's honestly like I would love to see him done well in the movie. And I know we were just talking before about the PC thing. I honestly very much think that they should get an Asian guy to play him. I think that would be fucking awesome because I've always kind of read him that way in the books and didn't realize that he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I guess. That.
But
he's
got
unique, kind of exotic features.
Yeah. And I think that if you're gonna do it, that's one character that it would kind of work with. Some characters you can't, like obviously someone like Black Panther, he has to be a black guy. Like this is an African nation. Someone like Captain America, if they're gonna pick someone to be the symbol of the country in the not so PC 1940s, it's definitely gonna be a white guy. So I think there's some characters that yeah, exactly. Like there's some characters that based on their backstories you can't change. Namor, I think, is one of the few that you kind of do have that flexibility that you could have, someone of a different, race play this character. And I think it's a good opportunity for them to get some representation for, an underserved group. But that's
as long as they have the eyebrows,
yes, I'm 100% with you. He's got to have almost like the almost Spock-like features. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Spock-like.
Who would you guys cast?
I would personally, I would probably go with an unknown, but I do kind of like the idea. I think I saw something online of Ludai Lin, I think is his name. He played the Black Ranger in the terrible 2017 Power Rangers movie.
He's playing Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat.
Is he playing Liu Kang?
Yeah.
No shit. I didn't know that. But yeah, I'd probably go with him.
Kyle, what about you?
Like Donnie Yen or somebody, who's done like a lot of like Ip Man, like a lot of martial arts movies.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick, actually.
They could do the the physical posture of King Namor.
Nobody said Steve Yen. Poor guy.
Do I know Steve Yen? Hold on, let me look.
Bro, he's Glenn from The Walking Dead.
You know what? He doesn't give me that imposing vibe, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
he doesn't give me that.
He is small. He is definitely.
Wait, he was on. Who's the guy from I can't remember his name. Who's Fast and Furious?
Oh, the dude that was he was in the movie with fucking Sylvester Stallone. I didn't hear talk about it. No, that's not him. But that dude.
No, I know it's not him, but I'm like, he's another good choice. I'm saying that guy would be a good choice to play him too. I can't remember his name though.
He was in, and you know who else was in the movie I'm talking about with Sylvester Stallone was fucking what's his face, Aquaman. Jason Momoa was
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, but it was Jason Momoa without the beard, and he looks like a fucking.
Oh, that's weird.
He looks like a fucking 4-year-old. So, but
that's why I think is that why we all have beards here, gentlemen?
Oh, 100%.
I don't want to look like kids.
Yeah, no.
I'll look 18.
Oh, me too. It's over. I shaved freaking 3 weeks ago, and it was like the scariest moment of my fucking life. But yeah, I think that the what if stuff could be cool. I hope they. I would like to eventually see, not to say that it can't be done. I would like to see, Marvel try to do a little more adult-oriented content, especially with the cartoons too. I don't necessarily think it needs necessarily G or PG. I think that it kind of, Teen Titans is it's a kids show. It's good, but it's a kids show. It's not really focused on towards even and they look even the artwork in it looks like fucking the Powerpuff Girls. Like, let's just be honest here. So
the artwork actually took me out of that show for a while. It wasn't until recently that I like rewatched it and I was like, this actually isn't terrible. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's definitely charming, but it's I'd rather look at Young Justice or something like that.
Oh my God, Young Justice is good.
Much rather. Justice League Unlimited, if you want to go back to
that,
but
go ahead. Sorry,
I'm just surprised that Disney is going to have a hard time going for the R rating. They're going to find ways around doing that, and maybe doing something animated or like the old kung fu movies do, or in Kill Bill they did it like shit just goes black and white when all of a sudden Wolverine's tearing people up.
I hated that.
We're not going to show blood. We can't show blood, so we're just going to chop up people in black and white. I don't know. They're not going to go headlong into the R rating.
Yeah, that scene in Kill Bill drove me nuts. I searched high and low back in the day for a fucking colored version of
that actually drove me nuts too, because the first time I watched Kill Bill, it was on a bootleg, and there was a rumor that Miramax had technology that would mess with it. So I thought it was a fucked up copy. I thought Miramax had done something so that the bootleg wouldn't come through correctly. So for years I was just like, no, it's just fucked up, whatever.
No, yeah, that disappointed me. And I mean, touching base on what you said, Kyle, about like the rated R stuff, like I think that the DC animated universe is fucking brilliant. I think they did a really fucking good job with that, especially those 15 movies. Some of them aren't as great as they should be, but
they did a good job.
They did a really good job with it. I mean, what was the last one? Dark Apocalypse?
Justice League, Apocalypse
Justice
War.
League Dark Apocalypse War. Like, it's a fucked up movie, and it was rated R, I think. Yeah, it was rated R, and they did a really good job of it. And there's no reason why. Now, I'm not saying rated R is the way to go always. I'm not saying violence is the answer, but it just proves that. And I guess just summing the whole thing up, DC has the ability to make good movies, but they just choose to do it with cartoons instead of live action for whatever reason. And it'll be interesting to see if Marvel can pull the same success with their cartoon stuff as they can with their live action, because you can't win them all, and you can't be the best at all three departments between comics, live action, and cartoons. And I've said it before, and Matt has agreed with me. Maybe you might feel different, Kyle, but I do think that DC has had the upper hand recently over Marvel in the comics. But I do think that they're starting to slip, and I think that the first topic we talked about obviously kind of symbolizes that. So, but we're gonna skip this Mandalorian thing. I kind of assumed I don't watch a show. I assumed, Kyle, that you knew what happened at the end there, so I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it and don't know.
I haven't seen it and don't know, but if I don't know, spoilers don't bother me.
Oh no, this is a big one. This is a very this is like
a shattering.
Huge. Okay. Yes. This was something that I watched the show religiously. I'm a very big fan of it, and I was floored when this happened. So this is a big deal. So if you ever get into season 2, you're not going to want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll respect, because it wasn't topic of, and it's hard because it's not like a topic of the spoiler of what it was. But if you don't know what I'm referencing, you wouldn't, like, the conversation would be flat. Like, I was just talking about like CGIing of characters. But so we can. I mean, we can.
We'll let it go. We'll let this go.
We'll let that one go. We can discuss that when at another time. But I guess moving forward, then, Matt, tell us. I know you're going to have to pull this link up because we're changing the way we're going to do it.
No, I actually
you have it ready already?
Yep, I switched it up into different windows and everything, so
Smart.
We're good to go.
Then tell us, December 23rd, local comm shops. What are we getting?
All right, let me get my voice ready. From DC Comics, we've got Detective Comics number 1033, Action Comics number 1028, and Wonder Woman number 769. We've got Justice League Dark number 29, Red Hood number 52. I'm looking at the cover now. I don't normally have the pleasure of seeing the covers for all the books that are coming out this week. This Red Hood outfit is interesting. It's a cool looking mask. It's something I would wear because we're quarantined, but it doesn't look like it affords any kind of protection whatsoever. And it's certainly not a hood. So I don't know why he's called that. Batman Superman number 15. We've got Batman Beyond number 50. Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn number 3. We've got Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Secret Origin, number 1. And we've got The Last God, number 11. And finally, Black Adam, Endless Winter Special, number 1. From Marvel, The House of Ideas, we've got The Amazing Spider-Man, number 54.LR, which I've said every single time pisses me off. We've got Excalibur, number 16. King in Black, number 2. People, I cannot stress this enough. If you're not reading King in Black, you need to get out there, get the tie-ins. I personally need to go back and read all the Venom tie-ins. This is the best thing Marvel has done in a very long time. King of Black is, I'm all about it. And that's rare for me to say because I think symbiotes are overdone. As much as I love Spider-Man, this is good. This is really good. So I'm all in for this. I don't know how they're going to win. I really don't. We've also got Doctor Doom, number 10. Star Wars Bounty Hunters, number 8. Spider-Woman, number 7, which looks from the title, looks like it's tied in to this King in Black. We've got Maestro, number 5. We've got Marvel number 3. We've got U.S. Agent number 2. We've got King Size Conan number 1, and the Marvel 2021 calendar is also due out. From Image Comics, we've got Gideon Falls number 27, Outcast number 47, Spawn number 313. We've got Undiscovered Country number 11, The Department of Truth number 4, Ice Cream Man number 22, Redneck number 29, Family Tree number 10, Sea of Stars 8, The Scumbag 3, Philadelphia number 11, The Marked number 10, and Tartarus number 8. From IDW Publishing, we've got Sea of Sorrows number 2, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero number 277, Transformers and Back to the Future number 2. We've got Sleeping Beauties number 4, Star Wars Adventures, Smuggler's Run number 1. That does have the Millennium Falcon on the cover of it, so could be worth reading. We've got Scarenthood number 3. We've got Sonic the Hedgehog, The Bad Guys number 4. We've got The Comic Book History of Animation number 2 and Goosebumps, Secrets of the Swamp number 4. From Source Point Press.
No,
we're skipping that one. Sorry, they don't count. They're not one of the 7. From Boom Studios, we've got Something is Killing the Children number 13. Dune, House Atreides. I might be saying that wrong. Apologies. Number 3. An Unkindness of Ravens number 4. And Firefly, Blue Sun Rising number 1.
And then you can just jump down to Dynamite. We're going to scratch Dark Horse. Sorry, you guys are too inconsistent.
Where the hell are they? Oh, excuse me. So I'm just jumping to Dynamite?
Just jump to Dynamite and we'll wrap it up.
All right. Sure. I didn't realize it scrolled down. So I'm shocked, actually, by what Dynamite's releasing. Vengeance of Vampirella number 13 and Mars Attacks Red Sonja number 5. Shocking that these would be the 2 characters that Dynamite decides to put something out about. And I say that with all the sarcasm in the world because that's the only 2 things they ever release.
Fair enough. Well, we'll have to work on that list reading. It was just so much easier for me to just give you the link than freaking having me type it all out.
Oh, dude, I agree. I agree. We'll just set it up so it's just easy to roll through. But I agree. You should not have to do that every week.
Cool. Thanks. Well, there you go. You can just do it that way. But here we go. Quick word from our sponsor before we get to our featured actual comic writer interview.
Very pumped for this.
Here you go. Here's a word from our sponsor.
Why Am I a Nerd podcast network has been brought to you by our sponsor, Me Moms. The best breakfast and lunch down the Jersey Shore with 3 great locations in Wall Township, Middletown, and Brick, New Jersey. Me Moms specializes in unique and fun takes on your traditional lunch and breakfast items. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find more information at www.memoms.com.
We're back. And we did not actually read a full trade paperback and review it this week because we have Kyle here, who is a fantastic comic book writer and artist, to say the least. Is the last, I guess that's the right phrase because the artistry is amazing.
It's so good.
Obviously,
like I'm just looking through it right now.
Yeah, you have this stuff. I transfer over. So Kyle, tell us. So you briefly said this earlier. Obviously, you were out in Seattle doing the comic book thing. Is that where? Like, just give us a background on how this all came about and how you kind of started, where you came from, what the newspaper stuff that you have going on there with the comics in. I know you did a lot of the cover art. You did some of the comics inside. I know the one that, excuse me for having, I was trying to figure out which ones you read or wrote in the newspaper. I know you did the plate one, which was super trippy. That was you, right?
Yeah.
Which was super fucking trippy. And I was like, probably should have smoked some weed and read this, but just give us a little background, how you got into all this stuff and all the good stuff we want to hear.
Well, I've always loved comics. It definitely started with Conan the Barbarian and Daredevil.
Interesting.
Reading all the 80s Marvel stuff, Barry Windsor Smith and Frank Miller. And I would just copy pages and pages and never wanted to stop drawing. But then I decided, I guess, drawing isn't going to be a job. So I went to school for design and didn't really like any of the options after that. So I picked up the drawing again and bartended and just moved around to a bunch of different jobs and supported myself whichever way I could so that I could have time to draw.
That's awesome.
So is Electric Heart Comics, is that you?
It's me and my wife.
Okay.
And occasionally some other people that want to participate. My wife Heather did the lettering on Backlash.
Okay.
Nice.
Even though there's not a lot, because I'm kind of scared of dialogue sometimes, so there's not a lot of dialogue in there. But
that was actually a question I had for you personally. I was going to ask, what influenced you to that decision? Because I feel like a lot of this is open to interpretation because of the lack of dialogue. You know what I mean? A lot of times dialogue can kind of funnel the way you have to take something. So I was curious as to what made you go in that route.
Well, I did want it to be different for every reader, for their experience. But I also didn't want to have to. So I'm getting ahead of myself. In comics, things that time kind of stands still unless you have dialogue. So when you are reading something, or if somebody's speaking, it almost could relate to an actual saying, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" That's 5 seconds of time. So it almost translates to that in the page. When there's not a dialogue or a sound effect or something, it's almost like there's this still quietness that's almost kind of like even more of a frozen moment. So I wanted I only had 12 pages because that was kind of my budget to print the book. And I wanted it to seem like it was taking up a lot more time than just 12 pages as these characters kind of wander through this garbage land. But also lettering is an art all unto itself. And I've definitely ignorantly tried to just go blindly into lettering and discovered, oh, wow, this isn't just writing an alphabet. There actually needs to be a lot of design and planning with lettering, which I'm still just kind of getting the hang of to this day. So I thought for my first longer comic, let's just get rid of that.
Well, we said lettering before of the Grant Morrison Serious House and Serious Earth.
Oh God,
the lettering is atrocious.
Just thinking about it, it just hurts my eyes.
It's really bad. So
the art is fantastic, but the lettering actually ruins it.
Yeah,
100%. So your wife does the lettering.
Yes, for some of the title pages and stuff where it was necessary. She's got a better calligraphy style than I've got.
So is she a comic book writer as well?
Well, she's kind of what can I say here? A taste maker.
Okay.
She's definitely my editor, sounding board, proofreads a lot of my comics, make sure that I'm hitting the mark and not kind of just totally, sometimes when a lot of things with people making comics, they're doing it on their own. Maybe it sounds great in your head, but you show it to somebody and it could be a total flop. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the process there. So editor would probably be a better title.
So then, speaking of like the storyboarding and stuff like that, and the editing and all that stuff, and putting it together, a question I have is, if you think about it, a comic book is essentially it's a storyboard. It's literally a storyboard. So how do you storyboard a storyboard? If that makes any sense.
There's a lot of different comic book artists who have different takes on it. One of my favorites came from the the Pittsburgh Comic Salon. They do classes out of there for people who want to do their own graphic novels. And cool. What they do is they draw everything out on index cards. And then basically you'd lay out the index cards almost like it would be a page of a comic. Maybe that doesn't work over on the right side, so you move to the left side, and maybe the flow isn't quite there. So, it makes it kind of a modular thing that you can move the pieces around. But other than that, it's I
never thought about that.
Drawing and trial and error. A lot of frustration.
So when you have to actually do the final drawing, like when you're like, okay, I got my comic, I got the storyline, I know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to fucking draw it. Do you use pencil and pray you don't, and erase it, or use marker and pray you don't fuck up?
No, I have to do pencils. Inking is, again, I think that I'm a pretty decent inker, but it's, I think Paul Pope said inking is like surgery, because the piece of art that you're working on is basically your patient. If you screw up the inking, you've killed this page of art now. A lot of the old Marvel comics, you can tell they had a penciler, but then they didn't have an inker. And I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he's got to be credited as an inker on hundreds of Marvel comics. And it just happened to be a guy in the office who was there. And they gave him a pen and they were like, we need you to
trace this. Yeah.
We need you to finish this comic. but all of it, it's very thick and smudgy, and it's not quite.
It can really ruin the depth of a page if it's not, inked correctly. Because, it really helps describe, what's in the foreground, what's the focus of each panel, what's the background, and, how far away is this object from there. It is very intense. It's got to be done right.
So to learn how to properly ink for
myself. So essentially you draw it out with pencil. And you literally trace over it with a marker, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I actually use I like the old tools of the comic book trade. So I like brushes and the steel pointed nibs.
Oh, so really? Okay.
I think that's one of the things that gives Backlash a very distinct line quality, because it is those steel nibs. They have kind of a scratch line, almost like I don't use crosshatch too much, but like older engraving black and white drawings that you'd see in like your history textbook in high school and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to have that line quality.
Yeah, because like I said, everything about the book is brilliant. The drawing and the freaking you can say the outline. Like I didn't realize you actually traced over. I figured you just like took a marker to it, prayed to God you didn't fuck up, and if you fucked up, you literally like, all right, well I got to redo this again. So that's cool to know. I mean, again,
there are artists who do that. Joe Kubert used to go with a brush and an ink, and he would just basically start drawing raw on the page.
That's rough. That's gotta be really tough.
Like a hand or something like really complex, and then go back in. But for the most part, just straight to ink.
So then, talking about the lettering and what your wife does here, it helps you out with. Did you put the bubble and then she fills in the bubble, or does she write the words where you tell her to place it? And then, like, how does that work? Because that's like a whole different person now getting involved.
Yeah, I make plans for where the bubbles are going to be.
Okay.
I think there's an old rule of thumb for a comics drafting class where it's like the upper 20% of a panel. You just kind of don't put anything important there.
Really?
That's just something that if you buy like an old cartooning book or something like that, that would be one of the guidelines that they tell you. Just leave that 20% open, just because sound effects or dialogue will be put in a balloon there.
And this is in like a comic class, like comic writing class?
There's a lot of books about making comics. Will Eisner has a lot of comic books. It might be in one of those. But yeah, there's lots of books about making comics. I think the making comics and drawing is two different things. It's almost like two different fields of study. Because making comics is a communication style. You have to learn the way the language works.
Well, one of the big issues that I have in comics, and you did not do this, is I hate how they put big events on the right side of a fucking comic book. And I've said this in multiple shows. I don't understand why you kill a major character off on the right fucking page.
And you're looking right at it.
Yeah. It makes no fucking sense to me. And I don't understand.
Japanese comics, they plan it that way. In manga, they plan for the reader experience of when you turn the page, can you still be shocked? Can something sneak up on you even though you're reading it through a page?
So, are you a manga reader?
I am.
What's your go-to?
I'm a big Hunter x Hunter fan.
Okay.
The last thing I read was the Captain Harlock series, so like kind of older.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that. Okay.
I forget the whole series is, I think, Arcadia of my youth. It's like space opera, pirates, and things like that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm more of a shonen guy. So I did do. I watched the anime for Hunter. I was personally a bigger fan of Yu Yu Hakusho. I understand why people are so into it, but Yu Yu Hakusho for me was just the draw. Like, that was more my vibe. Killua was awesome though.
Yeah, Killua's goals a little bit,
Yeah. I was gonna say though, we have another podcast that's coming up soon. I just read the most recent issues of My Hero Academia and Dragon Ball Super. So I was gonna see if you had any insight on those, because I was like, that's the two that I've been the most up on. But
I do like My Hero. I haven't read any Dragon Ball Super.
Don't honestly,
okay.
if you haven't already, it's just gonna piss you off. I'm just basically in it.
I'm a huge Otomo fan, you know, Akira and Domu and all those books.
Very nice.
It changed the way that that was one of the biggest inspirations for Backlash and the backgrounds, because
okay.
Akira and things, even though his backgrounds are insane and the perspective is perfect and he draws these insane cityscapes, they're so dense that it's almost overwhelming to look at. So the world of the Backlash comic is this world of overwhelming garbage, and I just wanted a really dense page with a lot of information.
Which actually, brings me to, I'm going to kind of use that to segue into one of my next questions. I'm Cameron. I'm sorry if I'm steamrolling over everything.
No.
I tend to do that from time to time.
No,
So I was going to say, so the way I interpreted this story was this guy, I think, is in a dream world. He's dreaming that he's in kind of the garbage world. And then he, that's why he kind of turns into the monster. And then the kids are able to defeat him. And that's why you kind of see him kind of back in that almost void kind of space where he's like spinning around. And I know you said or I inferred that it might be open to interpretation more because of the lack of dialogue. Was that kind of what you were going for? Like, was that
the dreamlike quality is definitely a part of it. That character, to me, when I think of it, I think of people walking around today that are kind of in a dream world, not thinking about the problems around us, And
that's the trash.
It's like they might as well be walking around in a world full of trash and not even be paying attention to any of it. But unfortunately, for most things, kids don't have the luxury of being able to ignore a lot of things that happen to them. So the kids have to live with the reality. And
so that's why there's the no dreaming allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Sleeping allowed, like you got to pay attention to this.
Run away from this. We can't run away from this reality, so you don't get to run away from this reality.
Ah, very cool. Okay.
But of course, all know what happens when you wake the sleeper.
Yeah.
And at the end, they're burying him in trash. The legacy that they've left, that the adults have left for the kids, has become their grave ultimately.
Honestly, very poignant. Very, very poignant.
It was meant for an election year in a lot of ways. So
you did a good job with it.
Yeah, you really did.
In some ways, the picking up the trash is, getting out and voting. And so
was there a similar mindset to the Plate comic?
That's a lot of things. That's just from anxiety, I've always
pull that one up.
I've always had a couple of jobs and things. So it's like, at work, I take on a lot, and then trying to make home life work. And it's like now the plate becomes overwhelmingly full, too big for the appetite. And I think there's one of the lines is that unfinished projects kind of fester, and then before you know it, they're taking over all that extra space in your mind for serenity or clear thought is muddied up with all the noise of the shit you got to get done.
See what I think is awesome, and it's actually it's kind of I guess it's more of a statement, not so much a question, but I love how what you're doing is just more of like, hey, it's kind of like Inception. Like, is the thing spinning at the end? Is he in a dream world? Or like we said earlier with Logan, did the rock fall just because it fell? Like, it's more of like an interpretation, which makes conversation. And I don't think you see that in a lot of comics nowadays. And it kind of goes into like my question about the like indie publishing and indie artists and what they're doing is it just there's more freedom, and you don't have to do something mainstream. And I think it's almost I guess the word's like an edge. Like you have like the upper edge sword. Maybe that's
upper hand, double-edged sword,
whatever. It's like upper hand is what I was looking for. like you have like the upper hand based on like generic comics that everybody reads, because you could be more free about it and be like, and have this conversation like, yo, what the fuck was that about? Because I got this out of it. This guy got this out of it. She got this out of it. But the only person that really knows the answer is you. And I think it's fucking awesome.
I don't even necessarily know the answer. Some of these things just come to mind. The idea started because I wanted to do a monster transformation scene.
You did it.
I want to have a guy turn into a monster. So then it's like, well, how do I fit that into a premise or whatever it happens? And well, why, even if you take it back further, why do I want to make a werewolf monster transformation scene? And what's the significance of this whole transformative act? And, I think even trying to make anything at all is a transformative effort. And if people are willing to have a conversation about it, that's the best thing possible for a comic like Backlash or for most indie publishers. We don't have the resources or the distribution of the big publishers. So everything is a grassroots reaching out. Just, you have to force the conversation sometimes, or sometimes you're just sending comics out and hoping that somebody responds,
So are you going to continue the Backlash story, or is it like one shot?
I think it's a one shot. I originally planned on making more stories, but I think it would just be more of the same. Mm-hmm. I've got a new story out that I'm working on right now I'm hoping for to come out next summer. And I think I want to do like a weird romance kind of thing going on. I don't know if you've ever read Charles Burns comics. He did Black Hole.
He did Black Hole?
Black Hole.
I think I read that.
It's a black and white comic. It takes place in Washington in the 70s. And like, it's about these kids who get an STD and they turn into mutants.
Huh. That's clever. I didn't know that one.
But it's kind of like it's almost like a Stand By Me story meets Dazed and Confused, but the kids are slowly turning into mutants in this town,
So is this next project going to be a more, dialogue based and more like a more full, like a 12 story arc?
I think I've gotten over my lettering fear. So there'll be more of more dialogue and stuff like that. So
it wasn't the dialogue part that you were nervous about in the actual writing. It was more of the lettering.
Literally the lettering, yeah. Because like we were saying before, it can completely ruin a page or an entire book,
Yeah. So what are you looking for? 12 issues on that? Are you going to make them more of a continued thing? Like, what's your goal?
I think I'd rather do. I like the annual format where it's almost like a magazine size and it's maybe like 50 pages and it's bigger. So I think I'd like to do 3 50-page, annuals.
So you're looking for once a year, or are you going to try to like once every?
Yeah, because it's just the two of us working on it. It's a lot of just the whole development takes a lot of time. Right now I'm storyboarding. I do all the editing of the comic in the storyboarding phase. That's so cool. You got to storyboard out 50 pages before you can start chopping them down.
So how do you go about publishing it then?
I do that myself. So I start reaching out to printers and seeing what they do, what they offer, what their prices are going to be. In Seattle, a lot of the community there kind of use the same printers. So like if you're making your own comic, they'll give you a deal versus like a corporate job getting sent down. But now that I'm in New Jersey, it's almost like starting over in some respects.
So is your goal to end up working for one of the major, we always call them like the 7, obviously a boys reference there. Like a major company like that and trying to get your comic out through them? Or do you really want to just try to make Electric Heart Comics its own thing? Because I mean, it has the name. It's not like a name that's like not appealing by any means. You have the artwork. Your design of the logo fits exactly what you're doing almost, flawlessly as it is. So is that something that you're looking to do? Just continue to build your own brand, or do you want to try to shop it out, elsewhere?
Well, originally I did try to shop it out. And the only response I've gotten a response from Dark Horse, but it was cool. Well, let me finish before you jump to any conclusions. It was the wrong email. And they meant to send it to somebody else's email, but because
no way.
For some reason, this editor, who shall remain nameless, had my email, and I guess it auto-filled, and he sent me some contracts and things, and I flipped the fuck out. And then I started reading into it, and I'm like, my name isn't in here anywhere. It's a bunch of other people's names.
Oh no!
So I reached out to him, and like, my heart's in my throat, and I'm like, sir, I think you may have sent this to the wrong person. Blah blah blah. And of course it was. And I was like, God damn it! That's the closest I've ever gotten from a response from any of the 7. So yeah, I think I'm just going to develop it on my own and see how far I can take it. Backlash was a real test of, I thought I really wanted to do it. Could I even do it? And would I like to do it? And once I finished, I hear it's the same thing with people getting tattoos. They just kind of want to
get more.
It.
Well, I think what's cool is that you essentially have this thing that's happened now technically too in the movie industry, where these indie movies are actually performing maybe not financially better than like a big budget movie, but rating wise, it's like, this movie is freaking like insane. And a lot of times when you watch some of these indie movies, it's not this like cookie cutter happy ending. Like you could literally say to yourself, I don't know what this is going to be. Yeah, and you have some big name actors too getting into it. I always think of the fuck's the guy from The Notebook? That guy's
Ryan,
name.
Ryan
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, yeah.
So he did that. He had those couple movies at one time. Drive.
God Forgives, I think.
That movie was kind of weird. The Only God Forgives. That wasn't, but
that was a tough one.
Yeah, that was, but
dark and like hopeless.
He was. There was no hope in that movie at all. But Drive was awesome, and I kind of went into Drive, saying, did you guys all see Drive?
Yeah.
Parts of it.
So I kind of went into, I won't spoil them for you, Matt, but I went into it guessing the ending. I was like, this is probably how this is going to end, because it reminded me a lot of Leon the Professional.
Yeah.
And, I think with that type of stuff happening in the movie industry is obviously a good sign for the comic industry. I just feel that what sucks is we're so used to reading, Marvel, and you're so used to reading, DC, and realistically, you're just used to comics being affiliated with superheroes, where it's not all that. Like some of the stuff I have back there is not superhero based at all. I have Revival back there, Why the Last Man's back there. What's another kind of low name one is I forget the name. It's I took the cover off, but
I mean, you can say Walking Dead. You could throw Walking Dead in there.
Yeah. So, and I think even now,
Walking Dead for sure.
It was, and look what happened with Skybound Now. And I said it before last week. I think it was like Robert Kirkman got into a falling out with Image, which is why I really think that's why Walking Dead ended so abruptly. I think there was some sort of eternal bullshit, and they couldn't come to terms with something. And he was like, you know what? Screw you, Image. I'm gonna go just take Skybound and make it Skybound Comics. Now it has Invincible. It has, another side thing of Invincible. It has The Walking Dead. I think it has Saga. I don't know who has.
Yeah, Saga. I think Saga is also done by him.
So I mean, Brian K. Vaughan does Saga.
Doesn't Brian K. Vaughan do Why the Last Man? Oh, wait, never mind. Sorry. I just got completely confused in my head. My bad. Yeah, I was mixing things up. My bad. 100%. My bad.
I can see Vaughn going over with Kirkman, though.
Yeah. I mean, because they have the same thing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they were able to do it. And all it takes is one issue of one book, just like a song. It takes one hit song for you to get played on the radio. And I think the concept behind, you and your wife's, doing your own thing is what's going to make it, not necessarily any easier, but more rewarding at the end when you fucking do it. And it's like, fuck you guys. Like, I did this on my own. You wouldn't give me the time of day. I'm gonna say it, suck my dick. It's like
that's a real part of it for, I think, every independent cartoonist who's out there. It's like everybody who's out there, they're doing it because maybe they think their comic wouldn't fit in a normal industry setting, and they're like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. Most of us wouldn't know what to do with ourselves if we didn't make a comic.
And I have two more questions. I'm sure, Matt, you might have one or two more as well. What's the indie comic world like right now in New Jersey? Is it as big as it is in Seattle? It seems like it's not. It seems like it's kind of needs like some development.
It's definitely everybody's separated, in their basements and bedrooms doing their own kind of thing. But there's people out there, there's too many parallels for it to be coincidence, but a lot of musicians also seem to do their own comics and things like that.
Interesting. That is actually true. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, Gerard Way did.
That's exactly what I was thinking of too. Did Umbrella, yeah.
And Max Bemis. I can't remember his band, but Max Bemis was a musician, and now he was doing stuff for Marvel and did Polarity. I think his band was Say Anything.
Really?
But yeah, a similar thing.
What was his name?
Max Bemis.
Yeah, he wasn't Say Anything.
And then the Coheed and Cambria, a lot of their stuff is
he does do a comic book, doesn't he?
Yeah. So the intersection is real there.
But his comic was like involved in his music too. That guy was fucking out there.
Yeah,
he did like music operas alone with with comic operas. I guess you could say. Yeah, he does. And it's weird because when I first heard him back in the day, when I was like a naive 15-year-old child, I was like, yo, this guy's not good. Now I listen to him like, dude, this guy is not only a good singer and songwriter, but he's really fucking good at guitar too. And I fucking hate you for that because I can never be that good at guitar. But Matt, you have anything? I have
I was gonna say, do you have plans for once life finally returns to normal, which seems like it's never going to at this point? Do you plan on doing any like booths at cons or anything like that, or kind of going to some of these I know normally there's a Comic-Con in Asbury, pretty local, or even if you get into New York Comic-Con, are there any plans for you and your wife to move forward with Electric Heart and kind of get it out there a little bit more?
Yeah, that's the plan for sure. We love traveling and just driving around and visiting different comic shops and talking to people and dropping things off, and especially having Scarf as something to give to people that's free. That's a good
that always helps.
It's a good foot in the door. But we would love to do some cons and table things. SPX is probably the biggest one on the East Coast. It's the independent publishers expo.
Okay.
They have like their own awards and everything, and it's pretty much just small press and indie publishers. Would love to do something like that, but who knows? Right now, we're just building up our catalog and trying to get more products. Maybe some T-shirts or other things. That's kind of the once you have a book out, you need more things to sell. It's like you gotta have some products.
What is?
Well, I was going to say once. Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying, what is the magazine? What is that?
Scarf?
Yeah, is that you?
No, that's a group of cartoonists.
Okay.
It started with me and my friends out in Seattle. This guy who goes under the name Bummer Comics, he's in there. He did the cover of the green one with the spaceship and the Pac-Man contest. He kind of is the linchpin. He brought a bunch of these different cartoonists together, and we pooled our resources and just self-published. We've got a 5th issue coming out in January. 2020 was our first year, and we just wanted to get together and contribute to the underground culture. A lot of cities, like if you go, I know Washington, D.C. has one called Magic Bullet. If you go to a head shop or a comic shop or a record store in DC, you'll find a similar newspaper rag, just random anthology comic. Seattle has a couple. Portland, Oregon has one called Vision Quest. There's a really cool shop up in Brooklyn called Desert Island Comics, and that guy who runs that, he's a big champion of the indie comics movement, and he has different artists come in, and he's basically the editor of a magazine like Scarf that's called Smoke Signal. So it's almost like for up-and-coming cartoonists like myself and my friends who are part of Scarf, it's almost like a rite of passage to do like a free city rag comic.
That's awesome. That's cool.
That's really cool. That's awesome, man.
Now, what were you gonna say before I could?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, let us know, because obviously we'd love to, promote like our platform is growing. It's not where we want it to be yet, but we'd be more than happy to share. So definitely let us know, as you do start to hit these cons and stuff once things get back to normal. Definitely let us know so we can share, because you're now indoctrinated. You're a friend of the show. You're part of Why Am I a Nerd?
110%.
Yeah, happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, yeah, it's been awesome having you. My big last question, I guess, for you is just, and I know you're kind of obviously the most experienced comic book writer artist that I've ever had the privilege of speaking to.
I'm not experienced.
Well,
I would beg to differ from the art in this book.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can effectively convey this on the screen, but ladies and gentlemen of the the podcasting community, this is just phenomenally illustrated. I'm turning the pages backwards. I'm trying not to destroy the spine here, but it's just so well done. Well, I'm sorry?
I'll send you guys a couple more copies.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for for the support. It means everything to the indie comics movement,
Yeah, man, absolutely.
My big question is what advice do you have to give to everybody else out there that's trying to do this?
That's a good one.
Well, I mean, I'm here as a resource if anybody wants to reach out and talk to me about it, but self-publishing is definitely difficult. There's no immediate gratification, but the day that you pick up a book that is basically yours from cover to cover is probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. Like, I remember driving my car home, just slamming the cup holder and the armrest next to me, like blasting some music, and just so happy that a book that I, did all the artwork, did all of the writing for, now exists in the world. So there's no feeling better than that, but it's an uphill battle for sure.
So where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Electric Heart Comics on Instagram or at electricheartcomics.com.
Damn, you got a website. Cool. We don't even have that. We suck.
Yeah, we do. We own a website. I build it, but we do own whyamianerd.com. I got to go back and actually build that. Well, actually, you know what? Christmas break's coming up. Maybe I'll actually have enough downtime. I'll come over, I'll bang it out. I do have our next movie for Cinema Heroes, by the way. You're going to hate me for it, but I found out about it today and we're 100% watching it.
You can tell me what it is?
No, I'm not.
I'm waiting to hear about it too. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, we'll probably record it Christmas Eve, depending on how that night goes.
Oh, God.
It's only a little over an hour, but dude, it's going to be brutal. When I read the description for this, I was mind blown. I'm like, this has to be on it.
How'd you find it?
Was excellent. So
it was a meme.
I'm looking forward to catching the.
Bro, the freaking. Yeah. I'm telling you, the
I'm glad you liked it.
What's the fucking movie? The Toxic Avenger 2 is the worst movie you can ever watch in your fucking
I was in
existence.
Physical pain.
Do not watch that movie.
I begged him to turn it off multiple times. I was like, can we just stop?
You guys like Trauma?
Listen, the first Toxic Avenger, we appreciated. We got the laughs out. We got it. This second one was just brutal. It was like it was none of the camp that made the first one. I'm hoping maybe the third one can bring it back. I love the idea of Trauma. I love that they're Jersey based, but that second movie brought me physical pain.
I almost wore a Toxie shirt tonight. I would have.
Oh, you definitely should have.
Wait, do you know the guy that owns that company?
Lloyd Kaufman?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him personally.
Oh, I'll just say, if you know him, give me his number. I'm calling his ass. I'm getting him on the show because I got some shit to say to that guy.
Have you seen Tromeo and Juliet?
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Don't eat anything before you watch it if you're going to.
Don't eat anything?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, empty stomach. Go into it on an empty stomach. I'm just saying.
This is, I don't know if you know this. This is the signature of Hero Cinema and Cinema Heroes, and I'm always eating something when we start it. Every single time I'm eating something.
Before we wrap up, is the movie graphically violent or is it just like fucking weird?
It's just disgusting and awkward. And
is it like Centipede?
A little bit like Centipede, but also like they're really trying to push the romance aspect too. So and the thing about Trauma is, the actors it's all like local people, like
yeah.
They went to a college campus and were like, hey, you want to be in a movie?
Oh God. All right. Well, fuck. Yeah. I guess add it to the goddamn list. I will not watch Human Centipede though. I'm out on that one.
It's not Human Centipede.
The trailer was hard enough for me.
Yeah, I'm out on that. But Matt, do you have a Shenanigans engine, or are we?
I do. We're not. The Gambit one's not real because I'm 99% sure I did that one before. I actually need to make a list so I can have my running things that are Shenanigans engines in comics. I'm actually going to go with Galactus this week as our Shenanigans engine because, like, bullshit. You're millions of years old. Like, how the hell have you not eaten every planet already? Like, what are the requirements for a planet that you have to eat? It's got to be teeming with life. Like, that's just fucked up. Like, I don't see why he would exist. Also, where and what does he poop?
What?
Like, is he just dropping little cities, some continents here and there? Like, how the fuck does that work? Because it doesn't physically consume the planet. Like, I have so many questions. So the entire way Galactus has worked and based up doesn't make sense. The fact that he needs someone to go from planet to planet for him, where there are literal star maps created, he could just go to, like, I don't know, the Nova Corps and just grab one of their maps and be like, okay, this planet's occupied. I can go here. This is some lush green fields I can eat for a snack. Like, come on.
I hate you. Where is he shit?
He does. Well, it's just wait, because on 4th and 1, I have something I'm going to bring up that is gross, but it's a valid question.
All right, you hear it first, folks. I guess.
Actually, wait, shit. I might need to wait until after we do Cinema Heroes. It's gonna have to wait until after Cinema Heroes.
All right. Well, at some point, Matt's going to say something else. So, but once again, this is Why Am I Nerd? Represents Wud Up Comics. You can follow us on Instagram, Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd. Listen to new issues every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast service. Once again, Kyle, it was an absolute pleasure having you.
Yeah, man.
Always welcome back.
Thank you, guys.
Fucking awesome. Once again, we're the nerds with the mouths. So until next time,
we're out.